In today's criminal investigations, surveillance footage has become an essential component, and video evidence frequently makes the difference in cases. Even with horrifying video evidence of suspected perpetrators and the actual murders, some well-known cases are still unresolved. In this video, we will show you the 15 murders that were actually caught on camera. Like this video and subscribe to get more cool stuff like this. Let's get into it. Number 15. Rachel Morin. Last summer, a hiking trail led to the discovery of the body of 37-year-old mother of 5, Rachel Morin. Investigators connected a suspect in a home invasion in Los Angeles to the DNA of her purported killer. The suspect was seen fleeing the crime scene on doorbell footage that they also had. In spite of this evidence, the case is still open. Number 14. Terry Missy Bevers. Missy Bevers, a 45-year-old fitness instructor, was murdered on April 18, 2016 inside a North Texas church, where she was supposed to conduct a lesson at 5 in the morning. Prior to the murder, the suspect was seen on surveillance cameras prowling the church hallways while wearing riot gear. The killer remains unidentified despite the video proof. Number 13. The murders of Delphi. Abby Williams and Libby German, 2 teenage females, were discovered dead in Delphi, Indiana, in February 2017 close to a hiking road. Libby used her phone to take a picture and record a voice message of the suspect. Even after making this proof public, the murderer is still at large. Number 12. The Chef Burger Murders. 4 Burger Chef restaurant employees disappeared after a robbery in 1978, which led to the Burger Chef murders in Speedway, Indiana. Days later, their bodies shot in an execution-style manner were discovered in a rural region. Due to contradictory witness accounts, improper handling of the evidence, and outdated forensic equipment, the case is still unsolved. One of Indiana's most notorious unsolved crimes, the savagery of the killings stunned the community and raised unanswered questions regarding the motivation and identity of the killers. Number 11. Murders in the Walker family. In 1959, Cliff and Christine Walker, together with their 2 small children, were brutally murdered in their house, setting off the Walker family murders, which shocked the small rural community of Osprey, Florida. The murderer left a horrific scene after hammering the family members and setting the house on fire. The case is still unsolved despite extensive investigation. No suspects have been named or a clear motive found. Numerous theories and possibilities have been investigated throughout the years, but no one has been taken into custody. Unanswered questions and unresolved anguish remain in the little town as a result of the tragic and enigmatic Walker family murders. Number 10. The murders at Kerry Cabin. In Kerry, California, on April 11, 1981, there were the Kerry Cabin murders. Glenna Sue Sharp, her son John, and his friend Dana Wingate were all killed in the savage killings. Tina, Sue's daughter, was kidnapped as well, but years later, her remains were discovered. There was horrific evidence of stabbing and blunt force injuries at the crime site. The case is still unexplained after a thorough investigation, leaving the community plagued with unproven theories and unanswered concerns. True crime fans are intrigued by the Kerry Cabin murders, which continue to be a terrifying reminder of the unsolved mysteries that lurk in the shadows of little villages. Number 9. The Trio from Springfield. On June 7, 1992 in Springfield, Missouri, the terrifying unsolved mystery known as the Springfield 3 came to light. Following Susie Streeter's high school graduation, Cheryl Levitt, Susie McCall, and Susie Streeter's mother disappeared from Levitt's house without a trace. Their current whereabouts are unknown despite thorough searches and investigations. There were indications of a scuffle at the location, but no obvious suspects or motivation were found. Authorities are perplexed by the case, and true crime fans all over the world are fascinated by it. Even after many years have passed, the Springfield 3's fate continues to be one of the most enigmatic and unsolved mysteries in American criminal history. Number 8. The Young Man Within the Box. The unresolved case of an unidentified little boy whose body was found in a cardboard box in Philadelphia in 1957 is known as the Boy in the Box murder. The child, who was thought to be between 4 and 6 years old, had obvious evidence of malnourishment and serious mistreatment. His identity and the circumstances surrounding his death are still a mystery, despite in-depth investigations and media coverage. For decades, the case has plagued investigators and the public, eliciting several theories but yielding no conclusive solutions. Number 7. The Killer of the Zodiac Sign. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, a well-known unnamed serial murderer operated in Northern California under the name Zodiac Killer. Claiming responsibility for multiple murders, the perpetrator used ciphers, puzzles, and cryptic letters to tease police enforcement and the public. A legacy of curiosity and terror lingered as the Zodiac Killer eluded capture despite a thorough investigation. Generations of fans of true crime have been captivated by the case, which is still one of the most notorious unsolved serial killer mysteries in American history. Number 6. The murders on Colonial Parkway. The Colonial Parkway murders are a string of unsolved killings that took place in Virginia, USA between 1986 and 1989. The Colonial Parkway, a picturesque path that links Yorktown, Williamsburg, and Jamestown, is where the bodies of the victims, all couples, were discovered. There is still mystery surrounding the killings. No obvious reason or suspect has been named. Law enforcement agencies have conducted thorough investigations, but the case is still unresolved, raising suspicions and conjecture about the identity of the murderer or perpetrators. Number 5. A serial killer from Long Island. The bodies of multiple victims, mostly women, were discovered on isolated beaches on Long Island, New York. The murderer is sometimes referred to as the Gilgo Beach Killer or the Long Island Serial Killer. The case began when human remains were found in 2010, which sparked an ongoing inquiry that over time turned up more victims. The identity of the perpetrator is still a mystery, despite the best efforts of law enforcement and a plethora of ideas, leaving it hauntingly unsolved. Number 4. Murders in the Setagaya family. A family of 4 was brutally murdered in their home by an unidentified assailant in Tokyo, Japan in 2000. The murders are known as the Setagaya family murders. Even after a thorough investigation and the discovery of DNA evidence at the scene, the culprit remained undiscovered. The case attracted a lot of interest both domestically and abroad, with explanations varying from a deliberate attack to an act of violence at random. The identity of the murderer and the reason for the horrible act are still a mystery, despite numerous attempts to uncover it. Number 3. The Killers of Brabant. During their 1980s activities in Belgium, the Brabant killers committed a string of horrific armed robberies that left many people dead or injured. The severity of their crimes and their evasiveness had a long-lasting effect on Belgian society. Over the years, other ideas and suspects have emerged in this case, adding to its fascination and disturbing nature, but conclusive answers are still elusive. Number 2. The Woman of Isdal. The unnamed woman whose body was discovered in the Isdalen Valley outside Bergen, Norway in 1970 was dubbed the Isdal Woman. One of Norway's most persistent mysteries is still this case. The woman was found with her valuables purposefully charred around her, and she was burned beyond recognition. Coded notes discovered in her possessions raised questions about possible espionage or covert activity. Her clothes labels were taken off and her fingerprints were erased, suggesting a calculated attempt to hide her identity. Her real identity and the circumstances surrounding her death are still a mystery despite thorough inquiries, including those conducted internationally. Many theories, from espionage to involvement in illicit operations, have been put up. The public's fascination with the Isdal Woman case has not abated, thanks to current developments in forensic science and tenacious efforts to determine the cause of her unexplained death. Number 1. The Murders at Hinterkaifeck. One of the most puzzling unsolved murder cases in Germany is the Hinterkaifeck murders. It happened in 1922 on the isolated estate Hinterkaifeck in Bavaria. Using a mattock, a kind of pickaxe, 6 members of the Gruber family, including the elderly Andreas and his wife, their widowed daughter Victoria, her 2 children, and the maid were cruelly killed. The mystery was heightened when the remains were found a few days later. The peculiar circumstances surrounding the killings and the absence of a clear motivation are what make this case especially unsettling. Footsteps in the snow were heard leading up to the property, but none going down. The family had also claimed other unexplained happenings, such hearing footsteps in the attic and discovering weird footprints all around the property. No culprit was ever found in spite of thorough investigations that included autopsies and questionings, leaving the case cloaked in lore and conjecture. That's it for today. Let us know your thoughts on this video in the comments. Subscribe to keep getting amazing stuff. Goodbye.